Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Coach. I've recently gotten some questions about how to perfect your build by optimizing and recalibrating. So, the thing to point out here is all your gear is going to have at least a couple of slots. So, let me just point out quickly that your green gear sets are typically going to have only one secondary slot. So, even the chest piece or the backpack is only going to have one secondary slot. So there's fewer variables in upgrading a green gear piece. Where when you look at, let's say, an exotic will have two. Okay. The one down here, this is a mod. You can see it's the little gear. So that's the mod I have on it right now. But these are the two secondary stats. And then, of course, the most complex pieces of gear are brand set or the gold backpacks and chest pieces, because they have not only the main stat, but two secondary attributes and a talent. So you've got 4 items there that you want to be just right. So basically, the process you're going to use here is you're going to decide A, what do I want? And then B, how do I farm it? To me, the very easiest way to farm gear is to go in a countdown. So let's say I was after, let's say I needed a Fenris mask or Fenris gloves. I would go over here to the summit, change the targeted loot. H. Hold that down, you get this thing here. Okay, and then you would just go to Fenris, choose it, and now if you go into the summit or countdown, it changed it for both. You go to summit or countdown, you're going to get targeted loot. And then the easiest way to, I always do it this way, I just run over to the helicopter and run up here, talk to this gal. Choose Penco Fairview Power Plant Countdown. I always set it to challenging. That seems to be the one that's populated the easiest. And then click Start Matchmaking. And you'll get thrown into a group. Countdown, one round takes about 15 to 20 minutes. You will get a ton of loot. In addition to that, you'll collect coins that you can spend right here. For named item caches all the way up to exotic caches. And then they've always got some pretty decent named items for sale here too. Okay, so with that said, let's say you pick up, what do I got in my bag here? Okay, I've got this holster right here, right? Now holsters have 2 secondary stats for the brand set ones, the yellow ones. Okay, this one does too. Let's say I wanted that Overlord because I was working on a rifle build. And what I really want on this build is weapon damage. And for down here, I would want crit hit chance and crit hit damage. Let's say that's what I wanted. This would be not a good piece to start with because I need at least one of those 2 here. Okay? If that makes sense. Because at the bench we're going to go look at here in a minute, I can only completely replace one of these. Okay? Now let's say I was doing an electric build, a skill build. And I wanted an electric holster with skill haste and skill damage. This would be a great one to start with because I've got my skill tier core. I'm not looking for weapon damage or armor. Alrighty. And I have one of the items I want, but now what I want is replace this one with skill damage. So let's actually show how we could do that. We can run right over here to this bench. And I'm going to go to Recalibration. Go to that holster. Let me do this. Let me put it on. And we'll be able to find it easier. All right, recalibration. And again, you got to make sure we're going to use these two things to max out a piece of gear. This one's the one we want first. All right, there's the holster I'm wearing. Okay. Again, this isn't maxed out yet, but we're going to do that through optimization. And this one we need to replace. So I'm going to select it. And then I'm going to select the hazard protection. Now, what's going to show up here is only stuff you have in your library. Right? We'll talk about that in a second. But only things that are in your recalibration library are going to show up here. So as you can see, I have maxed out skill damage in my library. So I'm going to transfer that to this piece. Okay, so I've got 10% skill damage on that holster. Now at any time, I can replace that again. If I change my mind later, I want armor regen there, or I can replace that one slot anytime, but I can no longer touch the other two as far as replacing them. But what I can do is I can optimize. So I go to optimization here. Optimization. All right. I go to that holster. Okay, now it's telling me I don't have enough materials. Until you reach shade level 1000, this is going to be kind of your headache. I'll explain that in a second, but we're just going to look. I'm going to choose that holster. This is the stat I'm going to want to replace. You can see my next optimization is going to take me up to 9.6 from 9.4. So down here, what am I missing? I'm missing the flags and the X's. And sorry that I'm not using the actual technical name for those, but that's how I say it in my head when I'm doing this. Now there's a couple ways to get these. You can craft them right here. If you have collected all of the blueprints for these from taking out control points. Okay, so I can actually, you can see I can craft those flags here, but they do take resources. Okay, so I'm going to craft a couple flags. So anyway, once you've got the resources, you can actually optimize that. As soon as you optimize this to 9.6, okay, then it's going to show up as 9.6 on the gear piece. And when you select it, it's going to tell you what the next bump up is. It might go to like 10.3. And it'll tell you down here the resources you need to go to 10.3. Okay. I'm guessing I could it would take me probably 3 or 4 optimizations to max this out. But the point is, it can be done. And then once that was done, this holster would be completely maxed out for what I'm trying to do. I want to talk about your watch. Okay, as you're leveling up to shade level 1000, you're going to keep getting points to put in here. Okay, in the offensive, defensive, utility, handling. You're going to keep getting points to put in there, and then every 5th level, you'll get scavenging resources. Once this is maxed out, that's when you reach shade level 1000, every single level, you will get scavenging resources. So you'll start collecting a lot more resources once you hit shade level 1000. And then optimization gets easier. I happened to mention one thing I did was create a second character, play it a little bit each day until it's maxed out. And then you can go to the crafting vendor in the White House, and she will sell this thing. I forget what it's called, but it has to do with account level shared resources. So that means every time you level, you get a shade level and you get a point in the scavenging here. When you log out and go to one of your other characters, that character will also have points in his watch.
Safe area detected.
So I could come in here, I can collect those resources. You can see I have not played this character beyond barely finishing the DLC. But this character has access to all those resources because they're shared across my account. I slowly did this. I worked on it until I had all my character slots full. So every time I level, I get resources on all my characters. And then this is my main. This is the one I play most of the time. So yeah, recalibration is to replace one stat. Optimization is to improve any stat. So again, your trickiest pieces to get is if you're going to want a brand set chest or backpack for your build, because there's 4 variables. I should also mention that one good way of getting brand set and gear set pieces is you can craft. If you've got the blueprint for whatever you want, again, say I was after an Overlord chest piece, I could craft one till I get what I want. So here I craft one. Okay, I just got one with weapon damage, crit hit damage, and the focus talent. I can replace one of those. If I wanted the focus talent, if that was the talent I was after, and I wanted crit hit damage, crit hit chance, this would be a pretty good piece. Because I could replace that with recalibration with crit hit chance, and then slowly optimize all the slots until they were maxed out. If I really wanted crit hit damage, crit hit chance, but a different talent, this is not going to work. Yes, let me talk about the library real quick. If you're just starting out, you want to look through your bags every time you come back from farming or a mission or whatever. You can pull one of these things off and put it in your library. Go right here, body armor. Now I can pull the core attribute off. You can see I've already done it. I've already got max armor, max weapon damage, and a skill tier in my library. But then you can look at attributes. I still don't have max headshot damage in my library here. So it's showing me that I've got one where I can at least improve this. So let me take this. It says I can pull that 8.5 off of that piece. I extract it. And now 8.5 is in my library. But you can see I got my library almost maxed out here. And then you can also, the first thing I actually want to do with backpacks and chest pieces is just start pulling the talents off them, even off of purple items, so that you have all the talents available. And I do. All the talents available for chest pieces and backpacks in your library already. So if you're just starting out, focus 1 is every time you come back from running a mission, running countdown, whatever, look to see if there's a gear piece you actually want to wear. If so, mark it as a favorite, throw it in your stash, or put it on. Everything else, come up here and start filling up your library. Start with talents first on backpacks and chest pieces. Fill that library completely. Then go to core attributes. Make sure for every piece in your library, if you can, you've got the maxed out core attributes. And then start going to secondary attributes. And the easiest way to know if you have something that can be pulled off is just go in here, choose that piece, and it'll show you what you can pull off right here. Okay, and then once you got that library full, you can start using recal and optimization to max out your pieces. I mean, you can use optimization even before you have your library maxed out. The problem with optimization is it's really hard to do until you reach shade level 1000, because you're only getting a scavenging point right here, okay, every 5 levels or so. And then once you reach shade level 1000, you get one every time you level. And if you've got multiple characters, you're getting 2, 3, and 4 times as many. And then you can really start optimizing. Other than that, you've got to, you're constantly collecting a lot of these materials around the open world, of course. And then you can use those materials to craft a lot of the optimization stuff here. And again, you'll get all this stuff. You get all this stuff through clearing control points. So get out there and clear a bunch of control points, slowly build up this library so you can craft whatever you need. So I hope that's helpful. Hope that helps you work on your builds and build your library. Have a great day. The coach is out.